Ashton Kutcher, it's a pleasure to have you.
Cheers. Thanks
and
for having
finally
me.
to meet you, because I
Pleasure to be
feel
here.
one of five, what is it, 6 million already?
That is the real deal, huh?
Yeah, because you get to think that you know you, and then I get to see you. So you want to do your deal thing first? You want to tweet?
My deal? No,
You want to tweet that you're
Good.
Because I saw what you did to Letterman, and I wanted to tell you that you can skip the sitting on me.
I've been well represented on the Twitter front. I think I'm all right.
You can tweet after the interview then.
Yeah, maybe after.
Okay, great.
Depends. We'll see how it goes.
But I've hosted so many statesmen and politicians and people who set the agenda, but I think none of them knew that what they said actually reached 6 million people a second after.
Well, I wouldn't say that what I say reaches 6 million people.
What you tweet is
Yeah, but so that's an aggregate, right? And then you think about that's global as well. And not everybody's on. I'm not on Twitter right now. You're not on Twitter right now. So not everybody's on. So if you think about 24 hours in the day, probably half of the world is sleeping at any given time. So that cuts it down to like 3 million.
3 million. But
and then you take about maybe the average person's on there for 30 minutes a day. If you have an account, you're very active. Out of the 24-hour day, there's generally not.
But these politicians, they take, they work hard, and they go from town hall to town hall, and they hire all these spin doctors and whatever. And here you are, one of the 100 influential people in the world, next to Clinton and Obama and so on. And is this where the world is heading to? I mean, that influence and power is something that is not really, or it doesn't have to necessarily be connected to what a person does?
I still believe that true connection requires a handshake. I think that there's real value in that handshake. I think that there's shared consciousness that can take place in a non-linear fashion, not face-to-face. They can actually defeat the obstacles of time, space, and motion. But at the same time, I think if you really want to have true connectivity with someone, I think it takes more.
But did you ask
over
yourself,
time.
Did you ask yourself, for example, what it says about us as a society, the fact that you became king of Twitter, okay, and passed a constitution or like CNN? What does it say about society? One can say that it's what's interesting over what's important, the news. It was the number, and here you came and just wiped them off the map.
Well, I think people want to fight for an underdog, right? And I think I was kind of the underdog in that particular situation.
Maybe there's an underdog working, trying to take your place now.
But yeah, there definitely is. But I actually think that what people were connecting to was not my voice, but their own voice and the power of their own voice. And the opportunity that can exist in a landscape that is flattened. If you wanted to have a voice on television, your best shot was getting a public access show in the United States. And if you didn't have millions of dollars, imagine how difficult it is in the United States to get on one of the broadcast media stations, right? A, you have to have an unbelievable idea. B, you have to have a connection with the studio executive. You have to go and you have to pitch it. Once you pitch it, you have to have your show piloted. Once your show is piloted, they have to go through it and scour it and edit it and change it and change your voice and change what you're saying. And we want this character to be a woman, and we want this character to be African American, and so
you can go above
by
your
the time
head.
it gets spun out, it may not even be your vision if you ever make it to the air at all. And it's a true long shot, and there's a limited number of slots, right? The internet is an infinite number of slots, an infinite number of channels, and an infinite number of authentic programs.
But still, you weren't just someone. You were already, an actor, a known celebrity. People want to hear about you because they want to feel a part of your life. I guess that if you were only, giving them philosophical ideas, it wouldn't be that interesting for them, and you know that.
Who's Guy Kawasaki? Do you know?
No.
Who's Adventure Girl? Who's I, Justine?
Guess, no.
Who's Kevin Rose?
They have more Twitters than you?
No, but they all have over 1 million. Who are they? And they have broadcast channels that are larger than most of the cable networks in the United States of America.
So you say that has nothing to do with the fact that you also provide them with information about their life, your life, that they really want to know?
100%. I'm not discrediting the value of celebrity in that space and in one's ability to aggregate audience, because you can use and leverage traditional media channels to actually drive engagement in your untraditional media channel.
It's also very tricky, I guess, because if you provide them with information about your personal life, then they always want to know more, and if you stop, maybe they'll go away. I mean, it's a really tricky line there, right? You went very far.
I don't think I went that far. I didn't go any farther than what they go.
But you're known, and I mean.
Yeah, but you think some people thought this was like this great travesty that I could possibly post a picture of my wife in a bikini on my Twitter channel, right? Like that was something that was awful. Go open any tabloid magazine, and tell me you can't find a picture of a famous girl in a bikini.
But
like
you know what the difference is? But you know what the difference is? When you do it on a tabloid, then it's like a paparazzi picture.
Okay, but you know what the difference is? When you do it in a tabloid, you don't have editorial oversight. I can make sure the picture is good when it's my channel.
I'm sure in your case it's always good. But
no, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I get to control the heat when it's on my channel. When it's off my channel, you know what? That's their deal. They're going to control it. They're going to say what they want.
Are you sure you can control? Because, when the news isn't that good news, and when it's going into areas where you don't want to go in there.
I think you can maintain the long tail of media. And now, that being said, I don't think you're always going to hear what you want to hear. And the truth is you can look at the responses of anyone's channel on any channel that there is, and some people aren't going to like it. Some people are going to have a problem with this. Some people are going to say this. And one of the most dangerous things is that from a journalist, the thing you should be most worried about is that somebody's going to get your beat before you get it, right? I remember when Michael Jackson died. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was shooting a film. And there was this like pop-up of like, did Michael Jackson die? ? Right? And I'm watching this on Twitter. I'm like, oh my God, like this hasn't hit the news yet. I want to be, maybe I could break this story. I don't know. I'm not even there. I'm calling people. Hey, did you hear this? What's going on? Did Michael Jackson die? And
you want to be first? You wanted to be the first?
Well, because you break it, and all of a sudden everybody's retweeting your thing, and so people. But it's shallow journalism, right?
Okay.
Because people just want the beat, and so then you have, TMZ breaks it, and then the next thing 10 people do is they say, TMZ says that Michael Jackson died. And so you're reporting what another tabloid says, and you're trusting that they were responsible about their journalism, and 9 times out of 10 they're not. So the real danger in social media is that you can spread damage like wildfire, and you can